Before Bagan built its 10,000 temples, someone else was here first.
Before the Burmese even arrived in this land, cities already stood here.
They built cities that vanished, spoke languages we cannot read today. They practiced Buddhism centuries before it reached the rest of Southeast Asia.
Who were the Pyu? Why does no one remember them today?
And what destroyed a civilization that lasted 800 years?
Central Myanmar, first millennium CE. The Irrawaddy cuts through parched plains. The Pyu weren't invaders. They were here when history began.
They were the original urbanites of Myanmar, the first city builders.
Between 200 BCE and 900 CE, they built 18 city-states.
Massive walled circles, some 5 kilometers across. Planned cities, not random settlements.
These weren't villages. These were sophisticated urban centers with tens of thousands.
Planned cities, hydraulic engineering, Buddhist monasteries.
The largest Pyu cities rivaled anything in Southeast Asia at that time.
Palin, Beiktano, Sriksetra, names that mean nothing now but once commanded armies.
Beiktano's walls enclose 14 square kilometers, larger than many modern Myanmar towns.
In 1926, French archaeologists opened burial urns at Sriksetra.
Inside, gold, silver, carnelian beads, and something more valuable, inscriptions.
The Pyu had their own writing system, adapted from India's Brahmi script.
But their language, we still can't fully translate it today.
The Pyu language is effectively extinct, a linguistic ghost haunting these stones.
We know it's related to Tibeto-Burman languages, but we can't read it.
Imagine if English survived only on tombstones and no one remembered meanings.
The Pyu were among Southeast Asia's first people to embrace Buddhism.
Not Mahayana from China, not Vajrayana from Tibet, Theravada direct from India.
Chinese pilgrims in 7th century described golden monasteries and thousands of monks.
They described libraries of Buddhist texts. Myanmar's Buddhist identity begins with Pyu.
The Pyu mastered water in landscape, with brutal dry seasons, violent monsoons.
They built elaborate irrigation systems, reservoirs, canals, hydraulic gates that still work.
This is Bronze Age engineering, built when Europe was in dark ages.
Some Pyu hydraulic structures still function. 2,000 years later, still serving.
The Pyu sat at Asian crossroads. Roman goods west, Chinese silk east.
Indian religious ideas from south. 3 continents meeting in Pyu markets.
We found artifacts at Pyu sites from 3 different continents entirely.
This was internationally connected civilization, not isolated, not primitive, sophisticated traders. Pyu cities weren't just political capitals. They were commercial hubs, transit points.
Places where cultures met and mixed, where fortunes were made and lost.
But empires to the north were watching. A
aggressive, expansionist.
The Nanzhao Kingdom, rising in Yunnan, China, hungry for slaves and tribute. The Chinese chronicles tell us what happened next. It's not pleasant.
Tang Dynasty chronicles record multiple Nanzhao invasions, 754 CE, 760 CE.
The big one came in 832 CE. Devastating.
Nanzhao armies swept down from mountains. They sacked Halin, carried away thousands. Chinese records say 3,000 captives taken from Halin alone.
3,000.
We see the destruction archaeologically. Burn layers, hasty burials everywhere. The city never fully recovered after 832 CE, never regained power.
One by one, the Pyu cities fell silent after that.
Not all fell to invasion. Some were simply abandoned mysteriously.
By 900 CE, urban culture that thrived 8 centuries was gone.
And in their place, new people arrived. The Bamar, the Burmese.
History's victors. The Pyu faded into legend, into myth, into forgetting.
The Pyu didn't completely disappear. Some were assimilated by incoming Bamar.
Genetic studies suggest modern Myanmar people carry Pyu ancestry in their blood.
But as distinct culture, language, cities, political identity, they cease to exist.
For 1,000 years, the Pyu were myth. Local villagers found bricks.
They told stories of ancient giants, but no one knew who built these cities.
Colonial archaeologists in early 1900s realized these sites were older than Bagan.
Much older than Bagan. But excavation was limited then. Resources scarce.
Only recently have we begun systematic investigation of Pyu civilization.
What survives of Pyu is fragments, beautiful fragments of lost whole.
Their art reveals refined aesthetic, Buddhism devotional, peaceful, cities geometrically planned.
The Pyu created template for all later Myanmar civilization's development.
In 2014, UNESCO recognized Pyu ancient cities as World Heritage Site.
International acknowledgement of what Myanmar has always known about its deep past.
But tourism is sparse here. Few visitors bother. Sites lack visual spectacle.
Most Pyu structures are foundations, brick outlines, buried potential, not towers.
The Pyu were part of broader pattern across first millennium Southeast Asia.
Urban states emerging everywhere, Funan, Dvaravati, Srivijaya, all connected by trade and Buddhism.
The Pyu weren't isolated. They participated in regional transformation of societies.
What did we lose when Pyu language died completely?
What poems? What philosophy? What knowledge about sustainable urban life in harsh climates?
Every extinct civilization is library burned. Pyu built cities lasting 800 years. And we can't even read their shopping lists now. All that knowledge, gone.
The Pyu aren't unique in being forgotten by history's usual narratives.
A
Across Southeast Asia, civilizations rose and vanished, replaced by spectacular successors.
Historical memory is selective. Winners write stories. Pyu are footnotes now.
But Bagan built on Pyu ruins, literally and metaphorically both.
Why does Pyu's story matter? Because it challenges our assumptions completely.
We think of Myanmar as eternally Burmese. But Burmese are newcomers.
The Burmese arrived only in 9th century. The Pyu were here first.
Pyu remind us, ethnic identities we consider fixed are actually fluid entirely. The people who built Myanmar's first cities were not ethnically Burmese people.
Myanmar's history is deeper and more complex than nationalist narratives admit.
The investigation continues today. Most Pyu sites barely excavated yet.
Entire cities remain buried under rice paddies and modern villages. We're just beginning to understand Pyu. Every excavation season brings new discoveries. New inscriptions found. New questions arise. But we lack complete answers still.
How did their political system work? How did they manage succession?
What did they believe about afterlife?
We have theories, fragments.
But not answers. Not yet. Not complete understanding of this civilization.
Some scholars argue climate change contributed to Pyu decline significantly.
The 9th century saw severe droughts across Asia. Hydraulic systems failed.
It's possible Pyu cities were environmental victims. Sophisticated water management couldn't cope.
When hydraulic systems failed, populations dispersed. Cities became untenable for living. When Bamar people moved into central Myanmar, they didn't find empty land.
They found Pyu ruins, Pyu refugees, Pyu knowledge waiting to be taken.
The Bamar kingdom of Bagan absorbed Pyu culture wholesale, it seems.
Buddhism, urban planning, irrigation techniques, architectural styles, all built on Pyu foundations.
Look at early Bagan Buddhist art. It's stylistically continuous with Pyu work.
The Bagan builders weren't innovating from scratch. They continued existing traditions.
This is how cultural transmission actually works. Not clean breaks, but continuity.
The Pyu script remains one of archaeology's most frustrating puzzles today.
Without bilingual text, fully deciphering Pyu may prove impossible ultimately. We have Pali Buddhist texts. We have Pyu inscriptions. No Rosetta Stone.
The Pyu pattern is global, actually. First urban cultures often leave minimal evidence. They build in perishable materials. They don't construct megalithic monuments visibly.
But first matters deeply. Pyu established urban living in Myanmar region.
They proved it was possible. Everything after, Bagan, Ava, Mandalay, built on proof.
The Pyu sites face modern threats today. Agricultural expansion, development pressure.
Looting destroys context. Climate change affects brick structures increasingly each year.
Myanmar is poor country. Prioritizing ancient ruins over development isn't easy.
We're racing against time and decay. Every year, more evidence destroyed.
We're losing this race. Artifacts appear on black markets. Sites damaged by plowing.
More evidence destroyed before we can study it properly and carefully.
But the ruins endure still. Brick built to last through centuries. Structures engineered by people who understood their environment profoundly and carefully. 2,000 years later, the foundations remain standing. That's remarkable engineering.
Modern archaeology gives us tools Pyu themselves didn't have for understanding.
We can date organic materials, map buried cities without digging at all.
Science is writing new history, not from chronicles, but from brick and bone. From brick and bone and seed remains, the Pyu speak to us.
We're learning their language slowly, very slowly, but steadily.
Imagine living in Beiktano, 5th century CE. You wake before dawn, always.
The city smells of incense and cooking fires. You hear monks chanting.
The audio features a narrator speaking over the scene. Your children play in streets.
They weren't ancients. They were people just like us, essentially.
They worried about monsoons. They traded.
They prayed.
They loved and argued.
The Pyu gave Myanmar its soul through religion. Buddhism wasn't imported by Bagan. It came through Pyu from Sri Lanka and India centuries before Bagan. Every Buddhist temple in Myanmar traces lineage through Bagan back to Pyu.
The Pyu are forgotten root of Myanmar's most important cultural identity completely.
Here's the paradox clearly. Pyu created foundations of Myanmar civilization entirely.
It's not taught in schools properly, not celebrated in national narratives. The Pyu don't fit story Myanmar tells itself about ancient kingdoms.
So first urban culture, Buddhist pioneers, hydraulic engineers, they're strangers in own land.
There's movement now. Young Myanmar scholars rediscovering Pyu enthusiastically.
Not really.
Recognizing that their history is deeper, richer than nationalist simplification allows.
The Pyu are Myanmar's past, but potentially also Myanmar's future model. They were multi-ethnic, commercially sophisticated, religiously tolerant, everything Myanmar needs.
The Pyu weren't alone in being forgotten by later history.
Across Southeast Asia, first civilizations have been overshadowed by spectacular successors.
It's a regional pattern, clearly. First urban cultures leave subtle traces always.
Later kingdoms build spectacular monuments, dominate historical memory and consciousness.
But you can't understand spectacular without understanding foundational work first.
90% of Pyu archaeology remains buried, under farms, villages, roads.
We've excavated perhaps 5% of major sites.
Only 5%.
Imagine what's still down there. What libraries, what art, what answers waiting.
The vision, major Pyu sites fully excavated,
properly conserved, accessible to all.
Will take decades. Will take resources. But it's possible if we commit.
The ruins don't need our plans to matter. They already matter completely.
Whether they become famous or remain obscure, Pyu built Myanmar civilization first.
Why do they do it? Study ruins, decipher dead languages completely.
Excavate in harsh conditions for minimal pay and little recognition?
Because someone should remember. Because civilizations deserve better than complete oblivion.
Because the Pyu, despite everything, still have things to teach us. The Pyu watched these same stars, wondered at same vastness profoundly. They're gone, but their wondering persists, passed to us across centuries.
We look up, we wonder, we remember them wondering. That connection is everything.
Another night, another dawn. The work continues as it must always.
People want dramatic discoveries, Indiana Jones moments. But archaeology is mostly this.
Methodical, repetitive, undramatic work, but effective over time. This is how civilizations remembered.
We begat here, a pillar in fog, a mystery without answers.
The fog has lifted, not completely, but enough for understanding.
We know who built this, when, why, what it was part of.
We know what happened to people who made it. Not everything, certainly, but something, much more than nothing. The forgotten are being remembered now.
The Pyu, Myanmar's first urban civilization, Buddhist pioneers, hydraulic engineers brilliantly,
trade networkers, writers of lost language, builders of brick cities enduring.
Forgotten for millennium, being remembered now.
By scholars.
By students increasingly.
By people who care that civilizations deserve better than oblivion and forgetting.
This Buddha has been here 1,500 years, prayed before by Pyu Buddhists.
The Pyu made this to last, to communicate something essential deeply.
It worked. The message received across time. The connection made and maintained.
The Pyu gave Myanmar Buddhism. That's their deepest legacy ultimately and forever.
Not bricks, not cities, but faith transmitted and living still today.
Every Buddhist in Myanmar practices religion transmitted through Pyu, whether they know it.
The chain is unbroken for 2,000 years. That's immortality through faith.
The ruins are beautiful, but civilization was more beautiful.
People learning, building, praying, trading, laughing, living fully.
They're gone completely. But they were here. That matters profoundly. Their having existed matters. Our remembering them matters equally and deeply. The Pyu built cities that lasted 800 years.
Then vanished into legend for 1,000 more years of forgetting.
Now being remembered. Not perfectly. Not completely.
but remembered. That's all anyone can hope for, ultimately and truly.
To be remembered, to matter, to have existed at all.
The Pyu did. They do. They will.